I've been hanging on, counting days, thinking it was me all along. Had a million conversations in my head about where it went wrong. And I've got no idea where you've been, who you are, not anymore. All I got is this Polaroid picture of us from June 24th. It's where I kissed you for the first time, laid on your sheets. You gave me your heart and said you trusted with me, but all I did was let you down time and time again. It wasn't my intention, maybe we should have been friends. So, you're someone I used to know, but nobody said it'd be easy. But maybe I should have known. One more drink, just swallow it down. I gotta get you out of my mind. But nobody said it was easy. Maybe I should have known. I've been out till late, shifting beds, trying to kill the image of you. Got a million stupid reasons not to call. It's just that I want to. Do you remember how we pulled the drapes in the basement to get away from the world that we couldn't fit in? And how we used to walk those empty streets at night in the city lights is where I saw you for the last time. Said our goodbyes, sat in the car, you saw the pain in my eyes, but I just couldn't let you down time and time again. It wasn't my intention, maybe we should have been friends. So, you're someone I used to know.
Hey, it's Chappie's Crypto here again with episode 23 of my trading journals. This is from the session of the night of the 18th and morning of the 19th of August, and we will get straight into the episode. So, last night, really happy with that session. August, from if you're following the ICT or Inner Circle Trader mentorship series or watch any of his videos on YouTube, obviously he's informed us recently that if you are new to trading, August is traditionally a really tough month to trade, very choppy. Apparently, reason being that it's summer over in the States and lots of people are out of the market, so it's just really hard market to predict. So for me last night, super happy, 100% strike rate. Took effectively 5 trades at shows and Tradeovate here. These are my results for the evening, so I'm very focused on trying to not just trying to be consistently profitable. So pretty happy with that. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to make sure I've got my little brush going here. There you go. So results including commissions, everything, $303 profit for the night. In total, 100% strike rate. Being super careful with my trades here, remembering that I am trading a demo account. So this is my demo account, so it's not real cash. I started this journey close to 5 weeks ago, it must be now. Started with a $10,000 trading balance in my demo account, and my goal is to try and double that, so get up to $20,000. And if I get up to that, and hopefully I've got a couple of the other goals I've set achieved by that point, I'll get into the market with some real cash. And yeah, anyway, so there we go. The nice thing about Tradeovate, and I'll just show you how this works. So if you do use Tradeovate as your trading platform, and you've got a demo account set up, if you want to see those reports about your session or your previous session or anything like that, up the top right hand or the top of the corner here, you've got this little section that says account. If you click on that little drop down arrow, press the settings button or the cogwheel, it gives you this as a performance center. And you can change the filters here to search for whatever you want. So for me, I'll go down to custom range. I change the date because I'm in Australia, so I trade effectively Thursday night, Friday morning. Change the date to the previous day, and I'll change the time to 2 o'clock or whatever in the afternoon, because I don't start trading until about 9 or 10 at night, and I usually finish by just after midnight. Press go, and then it pulls up all the trades for that particular session. So as I said, that's my results for last night. Let's go in and have a look to see what the trades actually look like in detail. The point of these videos is for me to review my trades and see what I can learn from that. So I'm going to go over across here. We've got the Micro E-mini Nasdaq futures contract for September, which is a contract I'm currently trading. I'm going to go full screen here. And this is how I set up my chart before. So this is the session overnight. The session's closed for the futures. Well, futures markets is actually open 24/6. Effectively, it closes on Friday evening and opens back up on Sunday evening. So it does trade overnight, but the focus for me is to trade this New York session, which is this session here at that time of the day. I've got my trading view time set to New York time, so I've got a UTC -4, which is the New York time zone, and I've got this very faintly marked area here, and then this area here and area here. That's an indicator that I've got turned on called Sessions Nephew Sam, and I've just messed around with the settings to get it so that it shows me 8:30 till midday, different color for the lunch from 12 till 1, and then from 1 till 4:30 effectively is the afternoon session. So I kind of like that session or that indicator. The other thing I do is I've been marking, this is on the 15-minute time frame, I mark the price here at 8:30, so I just pay attention to that. I also mark the US equities open at 9:30 because there's times of the day that it actually does particular things, and you'll see this very faintly marked green line that I draw on there manually, which is effectively the price at midnight. So that's the price at midnight, and I drag that across, and it creates another anchor point. So if you follow ICT, you'll know that those points of interest are something to pay attention to. So when I was looking at this setup last night before the market opened, so we'll drag this across here so we're not seeing where the price actually did. I marked these levels on my chart. So I drew the previous low before market open. So that was the previous low. This is the previous high. Drew those two lines on my chart. I also drew this line up here, which is this previous high from the previous day. And if you scroll out a little bit more, I've got another line marked up here, which is the previous high from the day prior. So they're just points of interest for me. I also drew this point of interest here, which is the previous low from the previous day and that low overnight. So we've got two effectively very similar levels here. So for me, I just wanted to mark those out because as the price started to move, I wanted to see how it reacted in those areas. So there we go. So that's my setup. So what happened as the market started to trade? So I'm going to go down to the 1 minute time frame, and we'll have a look to see what happened here. Interestingly, and I'll go look at the 5 minute chart at the end of this little video just to show you some really interesting things that happened, because there's some really textbook trades. So this is obviously, August is a tricky time to trade. However, there's some really nice setups in the market overnight, and it's just really clean trades, which I was pretty happy with. Need to work on being a bit more confident with the setups I'm taking. So this is 8:30 just here, and it was really nice to see the price came up and hit this high, or formed a high, and then it came down and started heading towards this direction here. So the other thing I noted here is that right at 8:30 we had this really strong push down, which broke this previous low, which effectively forms a market structure break. Now, because of the strength of this move, although we haven't actually come right down to this level, because ideally I'd like to see it break through this before I'd take a trade, I just decided, you know what, that's such a strong move. It's broken structure, and the price came back up here and came back into this fair value gap. So if I draw that on the chart, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a fair value gap, and I'll just make that a little bit darker so you can see it a little bit better. And go into style here, change the background opacity. There we go. So that's a fair value gap that got formed by this push down. Because we've also got this market structure break, which is this, and I'll draw that as well so you can see clearly what I mean by that. So draw this line here, make that a bit thicker so it's a bit easier to see as well. There we go. And I'll make that yellow. Actually, yellow's a weird color. Let's go green. So these are market structure shift. This candle here. So this is a candle that made me pay attention. So 8:30, big move. So fair value gap had formed, and so I just made a decision in my head. You know, if price comes back here, I'm going to take a short. By the time I was fluffing around a little bit right at 8:30. By the time I looked at this, the price was actually at this point, and I took a sell. So I placed a short order here. And I'm really glad I did, because the price definitely moved in the direction I was expecting it to. So it started drawing down here. Once it broke past this level here, I took 2 contracts out. So I placed 4, and I took 2 partials, or half the load off, which was a $76 profit. Not a huge amount of profit, but I was just pretty happy to just lock in that little bit first. And then because I sort of chickened out here, and it's one of the things that I've need to learn from this particular night, because I'd set my stop loss at this level. So I wasn't risking a truckload. That was only about a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio. So it wasn't I suppose, a hugely profitable from a return perspective. However, I'd set my stop here. Price started to reverse and it got quite close to my entry. And as per my last, well, not yesterday, the last few days, Tuesday, Wednesday particularly, got chopped up a bit. So I was a bit gun shy. So I just cut the trade fully at this point when it came back here, because I thought, you know what, we've done this, we've formed a higher low here. So I felt like the move may be done for now. And so I just cut the trade. And I cut it because of this. And because that happened and it started to come up here, I just made this decision. Yeah, I think I'm done. So I took the trade because I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to take a loss. I suppose in retrospect, if I just stayed confident with what I saw, I could have kept my stop loss here, and price just kept on moving down there. And ultimately, this would have been probably a more suitable target, because you look here, and I'll draw that as a trend line as a previous low. Price did come down here, didn't quite get here on this one. I was actually hoping it was going to come down there, so which is part of the reason I took part of this out here, because it broke this previous low. However, it did come down here, and this would have been a really nice first partial. In retrospect, I would have just needed to be a bit more patient. I'm very aware at 9:30 the price does move pretty actively, so I wanted to try and get out of the market what I could before this happened, and maybe just leave a small amount in. I just wasn't patient enough, unfortunately, but that's okay. I still locked in a nice little profit. This actually gave you, it's a really solid entry here. Now, nicely enough, again, we've got multiple times here where you could take in another position, because we've got this market structure break again. I didn't take this, but just here, we've got another market structure shift, and we've got another fair value gap form. So there was multiple entry opportunities here. We've got a fair value gap here. So that there is another good short opportunity, and you could have had your stop nice and tight. You wouldn't have been risking a whole lot. You can imagine you've got your stop loss placed here. Take your short here on this candle. It would have taken a little bit of heat, and then price just went. So it is what it is. I suppose one of the things I've been focusing on is I'm waiting to see how price responds at this level, which is that previous low before the market opened. And luckily for me, I was paying attention. So I just sat out of the market when 9:30 came around, did this big move down here, and I did notice this really strong candle break down just before 9:30. Fuffed around here a little bit, and then it went. At these moments, particularly as a new trader, you think, oh, I've missed the move, but this is a really good example of just hold out, because we've got this massive fair value gap here. And lucky for me, I came back. I just said, I'm going to go with the system. Took a short here, and glad I did, because it went. Now, this was tricky, because where do you take your profits? And as I said, my bias, if you watched the video I did yesterday, my bias was actually up. So I've actually got this assumption we're heading this way generally. I thought price may get drawn down into this area, which is a fair value gap from previous days. So I did have that as a bit of a target. We had this really strong move down, didn't come down here. So here I chickened out a little bit, and I took out 2 partials, which is half the position. Excuse me. Locked in another $104 profit here, and then price started to move again. I had this bit of a target. It actually came down here, flushed here, and then came back to close here. So I took out another one there. Excuse me. And then I just held on to this last one. I said, let's hold this last one, because let's hold this last one down here. I actually had a limit order to take out just here for this position. Unfortunately, it didn't clear that out. So, and then I actually moved my stop, which originally was up here. Once I took these partials out, I actually moved my stop loss just above this area here. And I'm glad I did, because I locked in a bit more profit there. So I've got $104, $79, and $43 on that one position, that I opened up here. So happy with that. I was a little bit frustrated it didn't come down to here, which would have locked in a really, really nice profit, and it would have, made that a much stronger trade. However, happy to see that trade just play out really nicely. That's just taking the meat in the sandwich, as ICD talked about in one of his videos, and I was pretty stoked with that. And it's really cool to see because there was definitely multiple setups on last night's trades. So when price come, and this stage I actually went to bed, so this is fairly late night. It's about midnight or 12:30, 1 o'clock Australian time. So at that point, I called it a night, locked in my profit of $300 and said that's done. However, when I opened the charts this morning and had a look at what happened, we've got this super strong crack up through here, which is that previous bottom of the range. So price has done its business down here. Or the algorithm's done its business. Got this nice market structure shift. Super, like that is just, yeah, you could have been pretty confident here that we're got to move on. And because of this nice big strong fair value gap, if I draw this on, you've got multiple opportunities to get in on this trade. So you could have got in with a long here, and you could have taken a bit of heat. So this one here may have felt a little bit more dangerous because for me, I would have placed, if I'd traded this one, I would have put my stop loss there. So you would have taken a bit of heat, but I would have had this as the target, which is the previous high from the previous day that I'd marked out. Or actually, there was the high from the range just before market open. So for me, I would have placed a partial probably there to take a partial, and because of this fluffing, I probably would end up cutting the trade around here somewhere. But let's see, what did it do? Well, price came up there a couple of times. This is in the lunch session, and it came back and revisited this area. So multiple times to get in and out of that trade. So really good session last night. It's really good to see the algorithm playing out the way we expect it to. Super stoked with how that went. And now I'm just going to get rid of a couple of these things. And I want to show you, because I looked back, and this is the power of reviewing trades of Nova or the market in the previous sessions. I want to have a look to see the 5-minute chart, because there's really a couple of really interesting, effectively in my opinion, textbook setups if you're using the ICT way of trading. And I'll just get rid of all that, and we'll go up to the 5-minute time frame here. I'll just crack some music going in the background here so we can get a bit of ambiance. I'll just reset this. All right, so let's have a look here. So I've still got all my things marked on my chart. We're on the 5-minute time frame here. So what can we see here as possible setups if you just trade the 5-minute time frame? And I suppose this is a really good example of what happens when you go to slightly higher time frames and how solid they can be and how much more, well, sometimes they're probably more secure and more safe entries and exits. So here, is there an entry here? Not really. So there's no entry here right at the start of the market, which is why going down to that lower time frame played out really nicely. Interestingly, that trade I took initially, if I'd held on to that and maybe got out in here something, I would have basically just clocked in a really nice trade rather than in and outs. However, look at this. So we've got a strong market structure shift. 5-minute fair value gap forms. Short entry here. Take your profit there. Such a straightforward, simple trade. You could add a really tight stop there, and that would have been, let's have a quick look here, what would that have been as a risk reward? So even if you're getting if you got a limit order set just at the start of that, you put a nice tight stop just at this previous high and put the target just at the bottom of this candle. Risk reward 3.72. If you're picking up risk reward ratios of 1 to 3s and 1 to 4s fairly consistently, you can take a bit of heat. You can get it wrong a few times, and your account's going to grow. That for me is just unbelievably straightforward trading. So that actually meets all the criteria. So we've broken through this level, so it would have been paid attention definitely. That's awesome to see. So let's just mark that now. Is there another trade? So once again, we're on the 5-minute time frame from the session last night. Price has now done its business down here and it's starting to move up. So what have we got? Well, we've got a market structure breakout here. Excellent. We've got a fair value gap formed. Okay, now let's start looking for longs. Okay, so I'm going to place a limit long here. I place my stop. So this one, the stop's a bit further down. So this, you're going to take heat on this one, and if you place your target here, so that one there, risk to reward's only 1 to 1.32. So to be honest, quite a few people are probably not going to take that trade. It just depends on how much appetite you've got to go into a drawdown potentially, and if you get it wrong, you're going to get it pretty wrong here. However, if you're managing your risk and maybe not going in as heavy, so this one here, because you've got a tight stop, you could have gone with this one with probably a much larger size. So as an example, if I placed a trade here, so just do create new order. And this is one of the things I like about TradingView. I'll just make sure I've closed out of TradeAvate here. Get rid of that. And too sexy. And I'll just show you how this tool in TradingView is really awesome to help you manage your risk. So for me, I'm working on trying not to risk more than 1 to 1.5% of my account on any particular position. That's something I'm really working hard on trying to get better at. And so if I go here, and I'll just show you this tool, which I showed in a previous video. I'm just going to connect this. Just 2 seconds. Oops. Sorry. Just 2 minutes. I'll just create a TradingView, and I'll come back into it. So I'm on a Mac, and I use the TradingView app. So I've downloaded the app off their website rather than use their actual website itself. I quite like using the app itself rather than trading through the website. It's just personal preference. It just has a few more features in the app itself. We got 2-factor authentication. Just be 2 seconds. You love it when you got these really secure platforms. So just be 2 minutes while I just log into here. And sorry, with TradingView, if you turn on 2-factor authentication, what it does do with this is it sends an email to the email account you've got linked to your application. So with TradeAvate, this is a TradeAvate feature. So I've got 2-factor switched on for TradeAvate. I'm just going to approve that. Just be 2 seconds. I've got this on my phone. I'll get it set up in 2 seconds. And sorry, apologize. TradeAvate. Sorry, it's a bit of a pain. I'm not going to get it done. It's good having security, but sometimes it's annoying. I don't think I did that quick enough. Maybe. Oh my goodness. Sorry, apologise for this. Just turn yourselves in the background. Yeah, don't worry, I'll do it in another video. But long story short, the benefit of using the TradingView calculator, or when you do your ordering tool here, it allows you to calculate how. I really want to get this done, so I will get it done. It's going to send me another email. 2 seconds. Alright, get my mail open here. I'm just going to take this to a different screen so you don't see all my highly secure information. And let's get over here. So as I said before, with TradeAvate, if you are using TradeAvate, what it does do, if you log in like this and you've logged in, it allows you to be logged on one platform at a time. So if you're trading your laptop and you change, what happens if you change where you're logging in from? So if you change your IP address, i.e. you go to work or you go working from home, what it does do is it recognizes that you've changed your network connection and it will require you to re-authenticate. It's just a TradeAvate feature, which it is good, and obviously it means that people can't get into your account without a physical dual authentication, which is very handy. I use a Google Authenticator app to do this, and I wonder, because I know that TradeAvate do maintenance usually on a Friday night, so maybe that's the issue. Anyway, doesn't matter. Got issues with getting in at the moment, so market is closed, so it's no big deal. I'll just close that again. So back into here. So what I was trying to say here though is, if this is the 5 minute time frame here, and if I've got this set up, because I've got such a tight stop loss and I'm going to risk 1% of my account, So I'm willing to risk about $140 on this. So when I bring up my trading tool or to place an order on TradingView, I'll put in 3 and I'll set my stop and my target here, and my stop loss will determine how many contracts I go in with. So that one there, I probably would have gone with 4 or 5 contracts there. Whereas this one, because it's such a big stop loss, only wanting to risk $140 again, I'm probably only going to go in that with 1 or 2 contracts. That's how I manage my risk. It does mean obviously I'm only going to lock in about it's a 1.32 risk to reward. So on TradingView, when you look at the tool, see here, it's got close P&L, gives you the number of ticks and the quantity, and it's the risk to reward ratio. So there, if I'm risking 140, I'm only going to make about $160 or 170 if I hit that target. So it's just good to be aware of that. But this here, once again, money for jam, a fair value gap, break a market structure, really nice obvious entry point and stop here for me if you're being really conservative, and that would have played out really nicely. So you would have taken 2 super nice easy low risk trades overnight. And did we see any others? Well, I personally don't trade the afternoon session because I'm usually asleep, and there wasn't any significant setups in the afternoon session. You'll see here, no, nothing to speak of. So yeah, the morning session definitely was the one to go for on that one. So there you go. That's Chappie's Crypto. I thought people would find that interesting too. Really nice setups in the overnight on the 5-minute chart. Go back down to my 1 minute and just revisit those trades I took, which were 2 really ultimately. So I've got one in there, and I've taken partials throughout. So cleaned up with just over $300 profit from last night. It's a total of 2% return on my total account, and I'm well on my way to getting back on track after a bit of a shock of the week before. So hopefully tonight's session, which will be Friday night, we have a nice session, and hopefully I'll add a bit more to that demo account. And on the journey, for people that aren't familiar, here are my goals that I am working towards, trying to save 10 grand of real cash for my initial balance. I'm trading a demo account at the moment, which just started at $10,000. It's the balance at about $14,300 at the moment, so I'm on my way to doubling that. And I'm up to about video 20 or 21 on the ICT mentorship series, the second time through, and really enjoying the journey. So until next time, it is Chappie's Crypto. I hope you're enjoying the last week of the Friday, the last trading week of the markets. Hope you got a big weekend planned. And until next time, it's Chappie's Crypto. That's all I got to say for now. Bye.
Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. To the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away.
the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Our bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter.